The skies burned crimson, streaked with the fire of a world on the brink of ruin. Thunder cracked like a war drum, and the very bones of the 9 realms trembled beneath the weight of divine fury. The air was thick with the scent of battle, the whispers of fate weaving a cruel and inevitable end. At the heart of it all, in the towering halls of Asgard, 2 gods stood at the edge of destiny. One was the Allfather, Odin, a weaver of schemes and a master of magic, his singular eye drinking in the strands of fate as he sought to twist them to his will. He had ruled Asgard for centuries untold, not merely by strength but by cunning, by knowledge that reached beyond the constraints of time itself. But even he, in his boundless wisdom, had come to fear one name, one shadow that loomed over his golden kingdom like an omen of doom: the Ghost of Sparta. Kratos, the god-killer. His past was a graveyard of pantheons, his name whispered in terror by those who still drew breath. He had sought peace in Midgard, carving out a life beyond the bloodshed, beyond the screams of the past. But peace was a fleeting illusion, and fate, ever cruel, had bound his name to war. The Allfather had foreseen it. If Kratos remained unchecked, if the son of Zeus was allowed to walk Asgard unchallenged, then even the gods themselves would not survive the storm that followed in his wake. Yet, for all his foresight, Odin had failed to grasp one undeniable truth. Kratos was no longer merely a warrior, nor just a god of war. He was something greater, something more terrible. He was a force of destruction given form, an unstoppable tide that had swallowed Olympus and would now come for the halls of the Aesir. The air between them pulsed with the weight of unspoken threats. The Bifrost shimmered faintly in the distance, a fragile bridge between realms that would soon be bathed in ruin. Odin's ravens circled high above, their beady eyes glinting with unease. Even the warriors of Valhalla, battle-hardened and unafraid of death, stood frozen at the sight of the Spartan. Kratos gripped the Leviathan axe, its runes glowing with an ancient cold that seemed to sap the warmth from the very air. At his back, the blades of chaos rested, their chains coiling like waiting serpents, eager to be unleashed. His eyes, once filled with wrath alone, now carried something far more dangerous, a quiet certainty, the resolve of a man who had made war his very essence. Odin exhaled slowly, tightening his grip on Mjölnir. The spear hummed with untold power, forged in the fires of cosmic knowledge, blessed with enchantments even the Norns feared to speak of. His ravens cawed, their cries echoing through the halls. This was not a battle of mere strength. This was a war of will, of gods who had shaped their own destinies by the blade, by wisdom, by blood. And now, at the precipice of the end, the 9 realms would bear witness to their reckoning. Kratos took a step forward. The earth beneath him cracked. Doom had come to Asgard. The war began not with thunder, nor with words, but with inevitability. For years, Odin had watched Kratos from the shadows, his singular eye fixed upon the warrior who had defied the gods of Olympus and walked away from the wreckage unbroken. He had studied the way the Spartan carried himself, how every step was measured, how every battle was fought not with reckless rage, but with calculated brutality. Kratos was not merely a warrior. He was war itself, shaped by blood and sharpened by loss. Odin, ever the master of foresight, had sought to unravel the mystery of the Ghost of Sparta. He wove his schemes carefully, whispering through the winds of Midgard, setting obstacles in Kratos' path to gauge his strength. He had sent Thor his mightiest weapon, the very embodiment of destruction, to crush the Spartan before he could become a threat. But Thor had returned from that battle bloodied and silent, his hammer slick with his own sweat and his pride fractured. The thunder god did not speak of what transpired, but Odin did not need words to understand. Kratos had faced a storm and had not faltered. That alone confirmed the Allfather's deepest fear. But Odin was not a fool. He did not act in anger or haste. He had ruled Asgard not by strength alone, but by wisdom, by manipulation so intricate that even the Norns themselves struggled to untangle his web. If brute force could not break the Spartan, then perhaps something more insidious could. He set his plan into motion, crafting a war not of weapons, but of words. He reached out, not with steel, but with the promise of peace. Through emissaries cloaked in golden finery, he spoke of a future where conflict could be cast aside. He wove a tapestry of fate where neither he nor Kratos needed to be enemies, where the past could be buried and the boy, Atreus, could be spared from the horrors to come. Odin had seen it. The way Kratos softened when he looked at his son. The way his rage wavered when Atreus spoke of hope. That was the weakness Odin sought to exploit. But Kratos had walked this road before. He had seen gods who spoke in honeyed tones, their promises as fragile as the mortals they toyed with. He had been deceived, used, broken, and he had survived it all. He knew what lay behind Odin's words, behind the carefully woven offers of safety. They were not gifts, they were shackles, and Kratos would not wear them. He did not bow, he did not waver. When Odin's final emissary returned empty-handed, the Allfather stood from his throne, exhaling slowly. His patience had been spent, his schemes had been cast aside, and so the war began. Kratos did not march upon Asgard with an army. He did not rally warriors to his cause. He had fought battles with legions before, and he knew that in the end, only one thing would matter: the strength of the warrior, not the number of swords. The path to Odin's throne was paved in blood. Asgard's greatest warriors fell before the Leviathan axe, their armor shattered, their bones crushed beneath the fury of a god who had slaughtered titans. Valkyries descended upon him in waves, each one a master of combat, their wings slicing through the air with deadly precision. But Kratos was relentless, his rage an unending fire, his strength an unstoppable tide. The walls of Asgard trembled as he carved his way through Odin's forces. Not even the Einherjar, warriors who had been resurrected for eternity's battles, could stand against the onslaught. With every step, Kratos moved closer to the throne of the Allfather, and Odin watched. He had foreseen war. He had anticipated bloodshed, but he had not expected this. Kratos was not just winning. He was breaking Asgard apart. The ghosts of the past had come to haunt the gods once more. The Allfather did not flee. He stood at the peak of his realm, the spear Mjölnir in hand, his magic coiling around him like a living thing. He was not a warrior in the way Kratos was, but he did not need to be. Odin had mastered power beyond brute force. His magic was an extension of reality itself, his knowledge of the cosmos giving him dominion over fate. Kratos stepped forward, his body battered, his breath heavy, yet his resolve unbroken. Odin raised his spear, and the battle began. It was a clash of power versus wisdom, rage versus control, steel versus sorcery. Odin's magic twisted the world around them, summoning illusions so real they bled when cut. He weaved time itself, slowing Kratos' movements, trapping him within visions of his past. He showed him Olympus burning, the faces of those he had lost, his daughter, his wife, his brother. He whispered to him, telling him that he had fought enough, that he had won enough. But Kratos had learned to silence gods. With a roar that shook the heavens, he shattered Odin's illusions, his mind an unbreakable fortress. The Leviathan axe struck with the fury of a storm, its frost clashing against Odin's magic. The blades of chaos roared to life, their flames licking at the divine defenses of the Allfather. For every spell Odin cast, Kratos answered with brute strength, forcing the god onto the defensive. Then came the moment of reckoning. With one final strike, Kratos drove the blades of chaos into Odin's chest, the chains burning through divine flesh. The Allfather gasped, his power flickering, his wisdom failing him in his final moments. He had seen the end coming, but he had believed foolishly that he could stop it. As he fell to his knees, the weight of his own demise sinking in, he looked up at the warrior who had slain him. "You," Odin whispered, blood on his lips. "You are not meant to exist." Kratos said nothing. He merely stepped back, watching as the Allfather crumbled, his essence unraveling into the void. Asgard, the Golden Realm, began to collapse. The heavens wept, the very skies mourning the loss of their ruler. But Kratos did not mourn. He turned his back on the throne, on the kingdom, on the gods. For he was never meant to rule. He was meant to end.